And let's make it big so it's like semi-visible. There we go. So yeah, you'll make a PowerPoint. Is that even big enough for you? So expand your boundaries by putting yourself in a setting where you are the racial minority in a situation in which you are unfamiliar. Um, we all did this at um, the Master's of Social Work program at University of Kentucky. So you always do a diversity exercise, and that's because all the clients you see are very diverse. Like you'll see people from every race, religion, creed, and gender. Around here, because even I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. So if I go into Frisch's or Perkins or sit down restaurant or even Walmart and just observe, it's different from the city that I came from. And like I kind of am, I'm more of a city boy. So being observing the country folk out here, I'm in that sense, I'm the minority. So it says, prior to participating in the experience, students are to identify common stereotypes and prejudices often associated with this population group. So if it's around here, Xenia, like country folks, you could think that they're hicks or dumb or uneducated, something like that. Students must attend by themselves, observing your feelings, your reactions, and your experiences. They identify stereotypes, prejudices, differences in the communication styles and cultures which they observed or were the recipient. And then these are written in format and presented to the class. So here's one somebody did I could probably show you. Maybe I already took it down. Oh, my back is not working today. Ouch. So I have a few of them. Changing the homeless, access to food, nutrition, field observation. There we go. So here's one somebody did last year. Oh, she observed Cedarville University, which isn't far. It's 8 minutes away. It's a PWI. You know what those are? I didn't know what those are till I got here either. People call it a predominantly white institution. Like this is a HBCU, that's a PWI. So those are like the terms they use with HBCUs. Cedarville has a Chick-fil-A on its campus, which is open to the public. So that's another one you could go observe, and it's probably the closest Chick-fil-A around here. Now I want to open up my app and see because I didn't know this. She expected to get side-eyed because she didn't look like everyone else. Expect to be rude, some to be rude. Expect for people not to acknowledge me, and expect for her name to be called wrong when her order was ready. The first thing she noticed was she dressed a lot different than the other students. She was treated just like the other students. The service was very quick, and the employees and students were friendly. I didn't know that this place is open to the public. Did you know that? Because this one tells me the closest is Beaver Creek, Chick-fil-A. You guys know what the zip code is up here? 3? Is it 45243?
I'm not I got it in my notes.
Okay. So does that make sense? Kind of the assignment. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, you could go to Walmart.
Yeah, but here. I go there.
Oh, do you go home, you're saying? Right. So if you did the Walmart here in Xenia.
45384.
Oh. Let's try that one. Pick up at the nearest 45384. 45384. I didn't know there was a Chick-fil-A 8 minutes away. Beaver Creek on North Fairfield Road in Beaver Creek, Ohio. That doesn't look like it. Oh, I see where it is. It's this one right here.
Are you showing us the map?
Yeah.
I can't see that.
It's basically north and west of the university. So you just go 4.2 miles away. But they don't let you use the app.
Wow.
It just says does not support Chick-fil-A one, probably because it's like student run. You could call them though. Let's see. You think they'll even answer?
Probably, yeah. Well, they do say breakfast, but nobody really knows.
I had no idea we had a Chick-fil-A this close to us.
We don't know.
Really? Yeah, I know. Do they have a car? Okay.
Sometimes, they don't like eating the cafe food,
Yeah,
so like they'll try to go out. They don't go out to eat it.
right. Can you
No,
Grubhub it here?
no, probably. They're probably like the closest one. I don't gotta pay that much, but still pay that much for Chick-fil-A.
Right. So this is the next assignment. That's kind of how she drew it up. You make a PowerPoint and present it to us. Here's your instructions, just so you. So basically, yes, go out and observe the local area. Some people did Walmart. Some ate at Frisch's. Some ate at Perkins, Big Boy. I forget which ones they have around here. Are those all the same? Big Boy, I think, is Frisch's actually. Big Boy is like the one term for them. So yes, basically, before you go and sit and eat, you identify common stereotypes and prejudices often associated with this group. You must attend by yourself. If you want to go with somebody else, that's fine. It's just that you write your own paper. That's more important. If you want to go as a group and observe things and even talk about it, that's the idea. So observe your feelings, reactions, experiences, stereotypes, prejudices, and they had us do this in University of Kentucky, and I, again, was kind of like the only one from Cincinnati, so I still was able to observe it. I also lived in Over the Rhine at the time, which is Cincinnati. And then you write it up in a PowerPoint and present in the class. So here's one example. There's her observation location. It's 8 minutes away, so it's only 4 miles to Chick-fil-A. She ate at the Chick-fil-A, observed. She thought people would be rude and not acknowledge her and even call her name wrong. And then noticed she wasn't that much different. The service was quick and employees were friendly. They said my name correctly when my order was ready. She said, I felt a little out of place. Not only was I the minority, but I was dressed a lot different than the other students. I was nervous and expecting the worst. However, I would say my physical appearance did not change how friendly people were to me. I would definitely go back if need be. And that's kind of the next round and for next week. So you can present it. Some people may pick this week or next week because they like to get it done fast and out of the way, and then you have a big long break of not too many assignments. And some people will choose to go, like you said. When is the break anyway? Is it coming up? Do we have a fall break?
Thanksgiving. Okay,
Thanksgiving is next month, right? Have you guys ever watched Intervention?
Yeah.
Where they intervene on a crackhead. It's pretty good. So I found one on a meth head. I guess that's a stereotype. Her name is Amanda, had a meth addiction. And I kept telling you about the homeless camps and people that lived in the sewer systems of Las Vegas. That's where she lives. So it's only 12 minutes, but interesting intervention too. And so yeah, they have a lot of these on YouTube, but I wanted to show you this one because it was only 12 minutes. So it's PG-13 or rated R.
I am 33 years old and I live in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Amanda's a beautiful, kind soul, always fun to be around, and just easy to get along with.
I moved to Las Vegas to become a street performer. Back home, I was very conservative, but then coming here, and all of a sudden, I'm on Las Vegas Boulevard and thong in a corset.
Every day was like a party for her. She had a good career going, she was supporting herself, and then 2 years ago, she just disappeared. My daughter's addicted to crystal meth. She has cut herself off from all her friends and family in Minnesota. I know absolutely nothing about what's going on in her life right now.
I used to obsess about my teeth, but like they're falling out. Like right here.
You'll lose all your teeth smoking meth.
This relationship with this older guy. I didn't like him. He became more of a bad influence on her. Off and on, they were together for about 5 or 6 years.
Amanda was really thrilled to be a mom. I know she was really happy and overjoyed to be able to give all her love to this new baby boy.
After the baby was born, I walked in and she was holding the baby and she just had this ear-to-ear grin on her face and was so happy. But when the father of the baby walked in, he just had this look of terror on his face. It all changed when the baby was about 3 weeks old. Amanda wanted to take a nap, and the baby's father was going to watch the baby while she took a nap.
It was the first time I ever left my son alone with my son's dad, as somebody that you're supposed to be able to trust.
Amanda called me very frantic, saying something was wrong with the baby. He was having seizures, so we rushed him to the hospital. The doctor came in and let us know that the baby had retinal hemorrhaging, skull fracture, and the cartilage in his legs were broken as well. And the doctor said it was due to abuse. I knew that it couldn't possibly have been Amanda. I just immediately looked right at Amanda's boyfriend. They all said, we know he did it, but this is what has to happen. A few months afterwards, she eventually did somehow walk all that grief and pain down and found a really great job.
Got the nursing certificate, CPRs, first aid certified, all that stuff, and I worked really hard on that. But I landed a job in a group home and was promoted to management like 6 months into it and just prevailed. Like I was doing so good, I couldn't believe for myself like how well I was doing.
At first, she was really, really good at covering up her pain and acting like everything was okay. And then she's starting to drink so much. She's making bad decisions like drinking and driving, which she typically would never do.
I had a friend that was living in Vegas as a trigger partner. I had a bomb job, I didn't know anybody who was better than me on the strip. I would just stack money. I was making $1,000. I was in a good mindset for a little while, but that was very short-lived. It wore off or whatever. Things started happening that were triggers reminding me of like, my son and everything. Started smoking mad, but I was sort of giving up on myself.
We kind of just stopped hearing from her. She just dropped off the radar.
I haven't necessarily been sure if she was alive for the past couple of years.
Last year, my mother sent me a link to a news article, and it's about the people living in the tunnels of Las Vegas. The first picture I see is my sister. I couldn't believe it.
What does the tourist not know about it?
That there is a whole another world underneath them. I've been doctor for about 2 years now. Things don't dry down here.
That's the homeless city under the city. It's kind of
Each
weird.
town's kind of its own special little like community of people. We don't always get along with one another and we have to listen to each other's bull, but we help each other out. My boyfriend, Mario, he's one of the first people I've known out here, and he's been a like solid person to me, like solid friend. He's been there when I needed him.
I'm Doc Love. We have a charity called Holy Smoke Misfit Missionaries. We work with the people that live in the underground tunnels. Amanda! My wife Teresa and I have a real connection with Amanda because we have a daughter her age who really reminds me of Amanda, very outgoing, outspoken.
Oh, Doc, you want to either come in or do you want a crate to sit on?
Over time, people like Amanda, they become family.
How do you yell at her?
have lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, you're on drugs, it is very easy to blow things out of proportion.
Care people and all the, the documentary people, I don't want to be around the drama, I don't want to be around, your problem, dude. I got a thing going on in my head that I wouldn't put on my worst enemy. Guys, I can't do this right now. Sorry. Hi.
Anxieties are skydiving now. This is the funny thing.
And, Mario.
It doesn't look like all that.
They're very taken from the outside, so they're definitely not.
I don't even want to be the one to say this, but we don't know where Amanda is right now.
And that's her family.
She just disappeared.
We're waiting at a hotel across from the entrance to Amanda's tunnel on the day that we were hoping to do the intervention.
We've been looking, haven't found her.
Has anybody seen her in 72 hours?
No.
Doc has let us know that he has 100 people looking for her, and we're poised and ready to do this intervention if we can find her. So, this morning, very early in the morning, I got a note that Amanda was arrested. The good news, she's going to be released on her own recognizance. She is going to walk out the back door of the Clark County Detention Center 4.
So we know where she's gonna be.
We know where she's going to be.
This is it. This is our chance to turn things around in Amanda's life. She doesn't gonna have another shot like this. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It really is.
Feeling very anxious. I'm really afraid that Amanda's gonna be angry with us or possibly might freak out.
So this is intervention, like if you get a family that has a person who's struggling with drugs or alcohol, they'll sometimes do it with an eating disorder. They'll set a time and a place, and a social worker or an intervention specialist who basically confront the person. And as you can see, she was smoking crystal meth, so her teeth were starting to fall out. So that was one of the things they showed. She's living in the underground tunnels of Las Vegas. I don't know if she was a stripper. What did they say she was doing? Just like, they said street performer, so I don't know.
Like a showgirl party.
Okay, so they dress with like almost nothing and then dance and get tips. And so that's kind of how she was making her living. But she lived in a sewer system, so her parents wanted to intervene. And she just got out of jail.
Oh, God, I got this for you. It's kind of hard for me to get home. So glad we got this for you.
Amanda, I am so happy and excited to be here with you today.
I guess that's her little sister.
I felt like before you left, we were just starting to become more close. Since you've been back in Las Vegas, I've been getting more worried about you, but I know addiction is a disease, and I didn't think there was anything we could do about it, and I felt hopeless until now. And I really hope you will accept this help. You're my sister, and I love you, and I miss you so much, and I just hope you say yes.
I remember the first time that I felt like you were truly in an existential crisis. That was after the tragedy that we went through with your son. Again, I'm sensing that you are in an existential crisis. And I'm here now to pull you out of that miserable hell that is addiction. I know you will become an inspiration to so many others with your story. Let us help you start writing it, instead of letting your addiction write a horror story. just didn't want to burden anybody.
You don't feel like that at all.
Not at all.
Keller's recovery, just where you're gonna go.
It's right on the beach in Cali.
Wait, how many treatment tonight? Thank you so much.
Man, this place is really beautiful. You're gonna love it. Sorry, thank you.
It's okay.
I forgive you. I know your situation hasn't been easy at all. My mom, Cassie, and I poured our love out to her, and it was at that moment she kind of just realized that we're all there for her and we're not judging her. I think she kind of felt that love from us.
I want you to know that I've talked to Mario, and I'm gonna offer to take him to a place, so I wanna get him help as well.
Okay. The fact that you're still here for me, still supporting me, doing what you can. It really does show that they love me a lot.
So addiction recovery is hard though, as it takes, well, there's 76 days later. It takes years to fully recover.
As of today, I am 76 days sober. I feel alive.
She looks a lot better. Yeah. 2 months later.
Stable. I have hope now. Hi, Mom.
Hopefully they gave her a plastic tooth to clip in where she's missing that.
Amanda just looks great. She's put on weight, she looks healthy again, and she's just glowing.
I would have never thought in a million years that I would even go to treatment, you know. I didn't expect it to be anything like this. Our therapy, we did whale watching a couple of weeks ago, like that was so cool.
What lies ahead for me is just being back my independence. It's a lot of work, but progress is being made. I feel really accomplished and I feel really proud of myself that I'm able to start doing these things again.
So that's another, oh wait, did they say she declined something? Mario was offered something. I don't know.
Doing these things again.
Sober living is really big in California. Mario was offered treatment, but he declined. Oh, is that her boyfriend, I guess? Okay, that makes sense. He looked a little bit older. So she is a year sober and a month she stayed. But these are the, if you guys have ever seen intervention, anybody here have any knowledge of addiction recovery?
This is a serial killer.
So these are the,
Bless you. Thank you.
it is allergy season. So these are some of the different, oh, this is A and E. They also show hoarders, which we've mentioned before. Intervention is a big one. And maybe I'll just search that. So it could be eating disorders, it could be drugs, and it could be alcohol. And these are kind of the ones that they have on YouTube, and how the family kind of intervenes in a different way. Meth addiction leads Michael to lose his career. So yeah, there's a few different people. Oh, he had kids and stuff. So if you get a chance to check some of those out, they're interesting just because
Good grammar and spelling.
they show you the whole process. So I did have the next assignment up for you guys in here. It's the group observation. I don't think any of you guys signed up to present this week. I guess maybe the earliest you could go is now. People like to get out of the way, but you could go next week or the week after, or most people like to hold it off to the very last minute, but hopefully not all of you do that, because then we'd have like a lot of late presentations. So we are on chapter 8. Did you want to see the example again of the PowerPoint for the next assignment? Anybody? All right. Well, here's chapter 8, kind of digging into welfare society and social welfare. We have several areas of social welfare. So there's social, occupational, and fiscal. So there could be lots of different poverty. One of them is like a person or family has less than an objectively defined minimum. So usually like in Ohio, I don't know if you guys have heard of our minimum salary for 4 people to live off of. What do you think the minimum amount of money is for somebody to live off of? Per year, how much do you have to make per year to make it in Ohio? Even if you add it up, what's the cheapest rent you've ever heard of? 3, 4, 5, $600 a month, or car payment even. I'm just trying to. It's a lot of times rent has gone up a lot. We've talked about rent and food inflation. I think in Cincinnati you still can find a place to rent for $650, $600 a month. That would still be $6,000 to $7,000 a year. We do have subsidized housing. So the usual average minimum income, at least in Ohio, is about $24,000 a year for a family of 4. That's usually when it becomes hard to pay for stuff. So a person or family has less than others in society, or a person or family feels they do not have enough to get along. And that's basic needs. So it's not that you need to have TVs and internet and things of that nature. So income and wealth, they have a way to measure it. So scale running from 0 to 1, 0 is perfect equality. Everyone has the same income, which, do you guys come from communities that everybody has the exact same income, you think? What's that?
What did you say?
So like measuring, it talks about wealth inequality. So do you think you come from a community that's 0? 0 would signify perfect equality. Everyone has the same income, or 1 indicates extreme inequality. One person or group has a lot of the income or all of the income. So do you think you come from a city that has do you have like a rich neighborhood and a poor neighborhood like we do in Cincinnati, or is it like all the same houses?
Yeah, rich and poor.
Okay. So that's kind of what they're showing here to illustrate. And a lot of times there's more poor neighborhoods than there is rich neighborhoods, if that makes sense, usually. So income and wealth inequality. Income is the amount of money received in any one year before taxes. So the one tricky thing is you could make $50,000 or $60,000 a year, but you might have a lot of taxes that tax you down to your adjusted gross income, is what they call it. Might only be $30,000 a year because you got to pay federal tax, state tax. I pay into my retirement system. I pay into my health care. So actual wealth is your property and assets, like market value of your house can be exchanged for money or goods. So income is how much you make. Wealth is how much you own. Like if it's a car, if it's a house. The tricky thing though nowadays, and you guys probably already know about this, a house is often on a mortgage, so the bank owns it, and your car is often on a car payment, so the bank still owns it until you pay 5 or 7 years of that $300, $400, $500 a month. So usually the bank owns everything. And you ever heard of the repo guy or seen like the repossession? That's another YouTube series that's kind of interesting. But people buy like a badass Mercedes Benz in the middle of the night. The repo guy comes because they didn't make a payment on it. So it's like, I guess they have like a key to get in and they don't have to damage it. So that's one way that wealth has changed nowadays. So causes of rising inequality. What do you guys think contribute to wealth inequality, or the rich and the poor neighborhoods instead of everybody having the same stuff? Because there could be a lot of things. They list some right here. So one is, they mentioned the technological revolution and also globalization. So if you can tell me what globalization is, you get some extra credit points. Because it's one of them big words. It's like, what's that mean again? And sometimes it's because of public policy. So globalization is, if you've heard of this before, a lot of our jobs went to China and Mexico because they get paid $2 per hour. Or Bangladesh or Indonesia where there's like sweatshops that make our clothing because they get $1 per hour. And that's globalization, where like we have a global market instead of even just 50 years ago, most of the clothes we wore was made in the United States of America. And most of the like cars we drove was made in the US. But we started outsourcing and giving, like trying to find cheaper labor. And one other one is shift from goods producing industries to services. So we don't make anything here in America anymore. Like most of the stuff you buy online is made in another country. So there's not many jobs. And the service, anybody know what the service industry is? Like they mention this on our unemployment stats a lot. So service industry is like food service, DoorDash, Grubhub, Amazon delivery guy. But everything they're delivering was not made. Sometimes even the food was made in a different country and they ship it back. Like chicken may be grown here in America, but we ship it to China for processing and then they send it back to us frozen, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's the shift from a goods producing industry to service producing industry. And then unions. There's not many unions left. Any of your all's parents belong to a union? Like a teachers union or a social workers union. So there's not many of those left. And those used to like kind of protect you. So other reasons for wealth inequality: measurement errors, inheritances, and then individuals saving at different rates from their income. So that last one is interesting, but you may have heard your parents or other family members say, don't spend more money than you make, which in the past you couldn't even do that. But nowadays we have these things called credit cards. You can like max out credit cards and add up a bunch of debt. We can get student loans. Does anybody take a student loan out in here? No? That's good. I did it in undergrad, but I took out a lot in graduate school. So I took out about $250,000. That's a lot. But in undergrad, I think you could take $7,000 to $8,000 your first year, $9,000 your second year, $10,000 your third year, and about by senior year they let you take out $10,000 or $12,000 federal loans, and then you'll also get offers for private loans. So again, the key is making sure you spend within your means. So it's just not out of control. Housing wealth is another thing that we look at, and right now it's a little bit over bloated. Like if you look at the price of housing, it's gone up a whole lot because there's a shortage of housing, and because we've printed money. You get wealth in your home equity, and that's the value of your home minus what you owe on it. Like I bought my house, I want to use my house 15 years ago because it sounds better, for $110,000. I was supposed to pay it over 30 years, so it was $500 a month. For 30 years. I owned it for 15 years. So I almost paid half of it down. Like when I sold it for $145,000 and I got, I owed about $90,000. So I think I got $55,000 in cash, but I had to put that down on my next new house that was $155,000. So usually they want you to put 20% down. So I put down at least $35,000, and I owed $120,000 on that house, which I sold 3 years ago for $209,000, and I owed $120,000. So that's weird. It makes it seem like, oh yeah, you got to pay the realtor $12,000 to sell your house. That was stupid. But I came out with $70,000. I had to put that on a new house that was $210,000, and so the down payment all went into the house. But your equity is usually that sum of money that you put down on a house, and it helps you. People usually buy houses because it's cheaper than renting. Like right now, I pay $1,035 or maybe $1,135, but rent of a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom might cost $1,200 or $1,300. So
Like a lot of people, they get houses and fixing them up.
like flipping them, or did you say losing them or selling them?
No, they just buy them and they fix them up and they just move them.
Correct. Yeah, they're like flipping houses. Like it was as long as they're printing money. That's The only way to save is in like assets such as like cars, food, houses, property, land. Um, but if you don't have that initial ball of money to begin with, or if you don't go to college to get a student loan to begin with, because I actually bought my first house on a student loan. It was, I think they give you $20,000 a year in graduate school. So that's how it's easy to, if you stay in grad school for 10 years to get your doctorate, you can easily get $200,000 in debt. But you still can be smart with that debt. Like I bought a house, I bought geothermal, solar panels, a car that plugs into the solar panel so I don't have to pay for gas and stuff like that. But if you never, like, say, make it out of the culture of poverty, it's hard to get a student loan in the first place. It's hard to get graduate school. So the cultural view, this is what some people say. Poor persons have certain psychological and behavioral characteristics, but the structural perspective is that we emphasize major economic and political systems that place various groups at risk. So one is saying that, like, our banking society kind of messes it up for people in poverty, makes it hard to borrow money. The interest rates keep them in poverty. And cultural view is like, well, you don't work hard enough, or you don't like go out and become a go-getter with what you have to do. You didn't go to college, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people will say you could have worked your way up and gotten a job and gone to college. But even nowadays, if you have a college degree, have you guys heard this yet? It's hard to get a job with a college degree. But you're all social workers.
I don't know why.
So many more people have college degrees, if that makes sense. Like in the past, there was only like 20% of people had college degrees. Now it's like 35% of America has a college degree. So there's more people. We also outsourced all of our manual labor, so you can't just like graduate from high school and jump right into a good paying job. Did you guys have any friends that did that?
Yeah, like some of my friends, they stay at home. And they work at like they work at Beach and all that, like Beach, like the Chrysler and all that.
And it paid well?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
She worked at Burger King, but she had labs and she went to Fastenal. And like at home, Fastenal was like, oh, they pay you like $15 an hour, and they pay you every week. So it's not like every 2 weeks, they pay you every week.
Really?
Like, yeah, she liked it.
Okay. And then what's the name of the place?
Fastenal, it's like a factory. Like they do shipments and stuff. And like they used to advertise at school, like, hey, you want like a summer job, you want a job here, and you pay like 14, 15, and like they'll lower the minimum wage for you because you can't work that many hours. So that's how it was. Like, at my school, like everybody knew what it was.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
like she liked it.
Right. I was going to say, do they try to convince you guys to like, hey, you should come work here. You don't have to go to school. You'll make good money. Okay.
Like, no, you should go to college. Or like,
Right.
This and that.
Which I still do think, especially if you get a degree where you can get a license like social work, stay in school. In the long run, it'll take a while, but you'll have more steady income and like the ability to get jobs. So.
And I heard that Amazon, like, I heard they pay good.
They do.
Like the Amazon factory, I think.
Right.
I know a lot of people that work for Amazon.
And I know there's some people that do both, where you go to school and you work at Amazon while you're going to school. So you can, and I'll deliver in the summer for Amazon Prime, or what is it, Amazon Flex, and that's where you deliver food, and it's like $30 an hour.
That's good.
So, because teachers don't really have much in the summer, I delivered DoorDash like 20, 25 an hour, but Amazon Flex was like $30, $35 an hour. So that was, we only get like $19, $20 an hour teaching. So that was exciting.
So, DoorDash pays $25 an hour.
If you hustle.
You don't need to pay, y'all need to have me pay $4, $5, $9, $10 more. I be getting somewhere like $9, like, oh, $26.
Oh, right. You're saying when you order from DoorDash.
Yeah.
Right.
$26, I only got one thing.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Delete my whole cart.
Right. I agree. would do their incentives and buy stuff because they'll give you a coupon like $10 off, $15, like, oh, that's great. But then you end up ordering it and it's still the same price as if you drove there a mile away.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, I'm just going to deliver for them.
Yeah. I didn't know what I didn't know that DoorDash did minimum wage. I thought that you really get paid by delivery fee and like tip.
They do. You are correct. So it isn't by the hour, but they always want to like advertise, like you could make up to this amount per hour. You can also make $5 an hour if like it's a bad time of day. So you have to do it at the busy times. You have to do it like when you're hustling. So you're right. Yeah, it is not by the hour. I've heard they give that option, but they still win out on that one. Like they'll say, we can guarantee you $12 an hour if you want to just like be on call from 3 a.m. till 6 a.m. But that's a terrible time to do it. Other thing about money, there's the income transfer system. So taking one population group and redirect it to another. So this sounds weird, but this is what you're doing with your taxes. So it's called redistribution, can be made vertically or horizontally. So when you pay taxes, that money goes back to other people inside the system. Like if it's welfare or if it's, can you think of other, well, yeah, Social Security, like your grandma and grandpa could be collecting their Social Security checks. Rehabilitation aims to change people through psychological and sociological methods and restore and enhance social functioning. So right now we actually are going through, did you guys get any of the checks that they gave out last year? Like because you had to be 18 years old. Yeah, right.
Well, my mom, she got it from me.
Did she give you any?
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's good. Because, yeah, some parents are like, nope, I had to pay for your housing and your food, so I'm not giving you any of this.
Hey, I still got stimulus check.
Well, yeah, if you're 18, but if your parents claimed you on their taxes, you wouldn't get it. They would get it.
No, she couldn't take me. She was like, you had to be 17, right? Like, no, if you're older than 17, you can't be claimed. So
I don't know how all of it works, but yes, if you worked and paid taxes last year, you were supposed to get a stimulus check.
yeah, I didn't know that.
Okay.
I had a job and everything, right?
Well, and then if you worked at, say, for example, if you were a student at Central State, they got checks too.
Oh, I was in high school.
Right. Right. So college students got checks, and then other people got checks. So the reason this is to help the poor at the bottom of the economic scale, and they're using economic growth that results from tax reductions and low interest rates, incentives meant to increase higher and end production. So all of that is big words for they would give money to the people that made the lowest amount, which is funny because teachers were included in that. So social workers, they're giving us $300 a month now for having a kid. And if they counted our other kid, we would get $600 a month. So on the 15th, I see this check show up in my account from the IRS. October 15th, they're going to give me another $300. And it's like, what? And my wife's like, I had the baby. You better give that to me. I'm like, well, yeah, I'll share it. We'll each get $150. So right now, have you guys heard of the big bill we're pushing through Congress? $3.5 trillion. And that's supposed to be for like the roads, the bridges, the social services systems, all that stuff. But there's aggregative and selective economic measures. So these are designed to create jobs, raise wages, the minimum wage and the living wage, and then provide opportunities to reduce poverty for those poor who can benefit. So that's the idea with the stimulus check. Other people are arguing it's making everything cost more, it's creating inflation, and it's making your food price go up, your gas price go up, and like eating out is way expensive now. It could. You're right. But I feel like right now nobody knows the answer and there is no solution. They're just like, we don't know what we're going to do. So it may come back to like intentional communities and farming and growing some of our own food and like, less electronic of a system, but who knows? Here's one of the first times. You guys were probably young when this happened, but Obama administration did what was called the Emergency Economic Stabilization Act. It was in October 2008, but then Obama implemented this money in 2009, 2010, all the way through 2012. So like his whole first term as president. It created TARP, which stands for Temporary Assistance Relief Program, and that was designed to purchase assets and equity from the financial institutions and strengthen the financial sector. Those are a lot of big words I don't understand, but basically they were printing money to buy like stuff from people that were bankrupted. So if it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. I always think of the printed money as like student loans come from printed money. So if you did take out a student loan, that money didn't exist before we took it out, but the Fed, they print it up and they give it to you. And then they're like, hey, pay that back to us at 6% interest. So that's a weird way to describe it, but I don't know how else to say, where do our student loans come from? You know what I mean? Like, how do they create them? One other thing they did, so Obama did the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. There was a stimulus package. They started February of 2009, and it was efforts to help those affected by the recession. So we had a long recession from like 2008 until some argue it's still going on, but some think the economy's good. Like the hometown you guys are from, is the economy good or is there still a recession, do you think? Bad, hard to get a job.
Yeah. No, it's easy now because everybody's taking a job. They get all this money from these loans, from experiments, so everybody's getting their job. So now we're out in Toledo, like you can get a job anywhere.
Okay, interesting. That is interesting because it's like, where does that money come from? It's like it's printed out in thin air, it seems like. But another thing he kind of switched up, Obama did COBRA, which stood for the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. I always hear of COBRA being where if you like get fired or quit your job, you can keep your insurance through COBRA. So it provides temporary continuation health insurance, and then certain former employees, retirees, and spouses, and dependent children. Oh yeah, I meant to ask. I'm blanking on your name now too. In the back. I know. That's how interesting my lectures are. But I meant to ask, are jobs available in your hometown? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, now that people are just, when they notice that black people are in Egypt, live off of stimulus checks and getting jobs, because everywhere goes, like some places higher.
Right. So that was the idea, and hopefully it does help us. But it's different in every area. That's why I like to ask each and every one of you guys, like, what's going on in your hometown? What's going on in your hometown? And how are things going on? Because it's, $3.5 trillion is going on. So I don't know if some of them kind of break down what's going on with it, but it looks like they're getting close to, having something happen with this stimulus plan. But here's what it's supposed to go to if it gets passed.
Just for me. Well, actually, Mark's the one to everyone with 13-year-old and damaged boundaries. Every customer, new and old, can get iPhone 13 Pro on us, plus up to $500 when you switch.
That's because nobody's buying new phones. That's why.
Democrats believe that $3.5 trillion would provide enough money to cover all of the president's priorities. It would address climate change. A source tells me that includes tax incentives for clean energy and vehicles and to create a stability.
So that's the list. There's climate change, universal kindergarten, and pre-kindergarten. Is that like preschool? Which I think right now they don't pay for preschool, but like if you go to a public school, they're going to start paying for preschools. Also paid family leave, expanded Medicare, and then that child tax credit that I told you I'm already getting. So I don't know if these guys criticize it or are for getting the tax credit.
And climate core. It also has funding for universal pre-K and paid family leave. It adds dental, vision, and hearing benefits to Medicare and extends the child tax credit.
This is only the first step in the long road we will have to travel and must travel. But we are going to get this done because we so fervently believe that we.
So that was a few months ago. Apparently the bill failed this week. So more than likely it's not going to go through as it was. Some people are saying way too much money. We need to get it down to like $1.8 trillion. I don't know. Do you guys even know what $1.5 trillion would look like if it was like in front of you in a stack? I heard it would be stacked up to the moon, like freaking 200 miles away. 250 miles. 250,000 miles away. So they are fighting.
Some countries already do that. Like I know paid leave when we have kids, they pay like you pay leave on for like I don't know how long now, but like so one of my teachers she was like if you're a woman and you have a child, you don't pay leave for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
In some places, I was like, that's kind of cool, but if it's a year, I don't know how that works.
Like, where does that money come from?
Like, no, it's like, so if you, I understand like years, it goes like one, but it is like, so you don't come to work at all?
Sounds about right. I know here we get FMLA, so that gives you up to like 8 or 12 weeks off, but usually you have to use your paid time off or vacation or sick leave to get paid for it. But they're trying to change it that there is a little bit more money put into it so both men and women can take off after that happens. So any questions about the next assignment, or do any of you want to rewrite your previous assignments? Because I do allow that. Like if you wanted to try to get better APA style into your paper or grade, you're welcome to do that. I'll leave that open to everybody.
So we have like like some of my teachers doing like a midterm assignment. We're not gonna have them.
Really, your midterm assignment is like this field observation.
Okay.
So you're going to go out and do this, and then write it up and present it to the class. So that's really all that you have to do. I'm going to see if I can save this somehow, because somebody was asking if we could show this on D2L, which I want to see if there's a way to send it easier. So yeah, your midterm assignment is basically doing this. File, share, yeah, email. I can do that. All right. So if you'd like to rewrite, you can. And if you would like to, let's see if it lets me just send it. Then you know who to send it to. Send it to me. So send. Does that work? Okay. I'll try to put it up in D2L. But yeah, if you'd like to rewrite or make sure you have your assignments done, I do take those rewrites. So that's all I've got for you guys today. All done, unless if you have any other questions. And yeah, I'll try to put the one example into D2L for if you go do that